Hello everyone, my name is Chandan and I welcome you again to my channel. This is the 15th video in TestNG tutorial series, and what we are going to see today is we are going to see soft assertion in TestNG. So this is the continuation from the last video, tutorial number 14, where we started with assertion and then we learned what is hard assert. All right, and as I told you that we are going to learn soft assert in the next video. So that is where we are now. All right, so to understand soft assertion, let's quickly open Eclipse and start with the code. All right, so if you remember that this is the same project that I'm using. Okay, and for this particular session we have I'm using the same package assert, and within which we have, if you remember, we have assert01 and assert02 from the last video, and soft assertion is the class that I have created just now for this video. All right, so let me go back to the first class assert01. If you remember, we had maths method. So let me just quickly copy this and paste it here. Sorry. All right, now if you see here, within this maths method we have few integers. A is equals to 20, b is 30, and sum is sum is equals to a plus b, which is all again an integer. And then we are performing a hard assert here, and we are just validating whether this sum is equal to 50, right? 50 is the expected value, this is the actual value, and in case this particular statement fails, then I'm telling I'm telling this assert class to print this statement along with the Java error that we get. All right, so but yes, as I told you in the last statement, that in the last video, that we may have some cases where we want to execute more statements right after assert. All right, so first let me just make this as test. All right, TestNG test over on it, and then we are importing this in this class. Okay, so this is the hard assert, and now say for example, right after sum I want to perform subtraction as well, right? So let me just put this as subtraction. Sub stands for subtraction, so a minus b. All right, and let me just make it 50. All right, and make it 30, so this will be, we should expect 20 here, right? And for subtraction, let me just copy this, all right, and use here, and instead of sum, let me just make it subtraction. All right, and 50 minus 30 is 20. All right, and instead of addition, let me just make it subtraction. Sorry about spelling. Subtraction was not successful, so in case they don't match, this is going to be printed in my log. All right, and right after that I want to perform multiplication as well, right? So let me just copy this and let me do multiply. All right, so multiply would be, instead of minus, so into, and then the actual result will be multiply here, and this would be 50 into 30 is 5 3 50, 150, and multiplication was not successful. All right, so far so good. And if you see here, I have used the assert class. That means I'm using hard assertion. All right, so if I run it once, if I run this once, okay, remember I'm using hard assert as of now. Okay, so I'm just setting the context so that you can understand soft assertion. All right, if you see here, we have let me just go to this result, and if you see here, the maths test was failed. The reason was the addition was not successful, right? Addition was not successful. This is the statement, the custom message which we printed, and the reason was the same. 50 plus 30 should be 80, but we are expecting 20, right? So we gave the wrong expectation, but my application was giving me 80, but this is 20. If you see here, says expected was 20 but found 80, right? So, and it did not execute these statements at all, right? It did not go beyond this, because we learned that after, if we have assert class, that means we are using hard stop here. In case this particular statement fails, then it is a hard stop there, it will not execute all the statement, right? But we have a situation where I want them to be executed. All right, I don't want the method or the test to stop here in case this particular line fails, right? This particular assertion fails, because these two operations, that the assertions that we are performing, they are totally for two different cases. The first test is for addition and the second test is for subtraction, and similarly the third one is multiplication. We can have division as well, right? So in such case, when you want the execution to continue even after the assertion is failed, then instead of hard assert, all right, we should use soft assert. All right, so if you see here, for hard assert, we import the assert class, right? This is the one. And instead of, and for soft assert, all you have to do is, we don't create an object for assert, we directly use the class here. But for soft assertion, you have to create an object of soft assertion. So this is how you do it. Soft assert, right? And let me just make it soft assert, the name of the reference variable. And new, let me just copy this and paste it and just take it. All right, and just hover on it and let's see what it suggests. It asks you to import the TestNG assert, so click on that. All right, so the error is gone, right? And if you see here, since we have assert in the code, that's why we have assert class. And since we have soft assertion, we have soft assert as well, right? So since we are going to remove this item, we are going to replace this assert. Let me just go and remove this. All right, so now instead of this assert, all right, all you have to do is copy the reference of the soft assert object, soft assert, and then just replace it with the assert class, and similarly here, and similarly here, right? So we are all set. Now what we have done is we have changed the way it is asserting the values. The way it is, we have changed the execution now. If this statement fails, then it is not going to stop there. It will instead it will come and execute this line and this line as well. And since this is also a soft assert, this will be executed, and irrespective of the result, whether it is passed or failed, it will go to the next statement. All right, and similarly this one. So let's quickly check. So you remember this was failed. Okay, let me just fail this statement as well, just to check whether we come to this line and this line is executed or not. So let me just fail this as well. So a minus b, a is 50 and 30, so let's make it 30, right? Because the result would be 20, but we are expecting 30, right? So let's see, right click on this, run as test. All right, but you see there is no error now, and it says passed maths, nothing failed. If you go to the report, then everything is cool, right? There is no mention of error or failure or anything. Like, what could be the reason? The reason is the way we have used soft assertion is not complete. All right, so always remember that in order to get the total result of what was asserted, all right, and what was passed and failed, you need to use a statement soft assert dot assert all. So always remember, you are asserting here, okay, this statement is also asserting, this is also asserting, this is also asserting, but they will not print the result pass or fail unless this statement is added in your test. All right, so let's right click on it, run as TestNG test now. Okay, now if you see, we have errors, and we can go here and see what was the errors. If you see here, we have blue X in here, which means the tests were failed and the maths method was failed. And within this, if you see here, we have an assertion error, and it says clearly the following assert failed. Addition was not successful, expected 20 but found 80. Subtraction was not successful, expected 30, found 20. Multiplication was not successful, expected 150 but found 1500. Right? So you see here, all these were failed, all right, and the test was failed, right? This was failed. You can see it right here, and it is clearly added all the statement, all the custom messages that you have added. against each of the assertion, right? So this is how soft assertion is used. All right, so always remember that if you want to perform some action, all right, without a stopping in the between, then you have to use soft assertion. All right, but this line is very important. All right, so this is all about soft assertion, but this is just the maths example. Let's quickly talk in terms of Selenium. All right, just one quick example, and then we will see soft assertion with actual Selenium script. All right, so public void, and let me just write it like Selenium, Selenium, and we are going to have some sysout statement. All right, just to save some time. So sysout control s control I, and then maybe like and the first thing that we do is open Chrome. All right, it can be any browser of your choice, and let me just read some of his statements. Now, after opening Chrome, we launch a site, launch Amazon.com. All right, let's consider Amazon.com, and then after Amazon.com, we are um, verifying verify the page title. All right, and then after that, we are sign in, and then again after signing, we are going to verify the page title, and right after that, we are going to sign in. Right, and then we are going to close the browser, right? These are the basic option, these are the basic operation that we generally do in our day-to-day testing, right? Close browser, close Chrome. Cool. Now if you see, we don't have any assert statement as of now. All right, so we are opening Chrome. Just consider them as actual Selenium script. All right, so we have written a script to launch Chrome, and then we are launching the site, and then we are verifying the page title of the landing page, and then we are signing in username, password, and hit login, and then again we are verifying the page title. And so all this verify statement that you see here, right? So instead of this way, where do we verify? Whenever there is a validation or verification, what we perform is assert, right? We perform assert. Assert dot assert equals actual and let me just call this hard assert. All right. Yeah. So it requires actual and the expected value. And in case you want to print something for a failure message, then you can add that way. That the way we have used this. So let's make the actual as like Amazon, right? Amazon. Okay. That is the actual page title, and the expected is Amazon as well, right? And in case they don't match, then page title is not correct, right? Sorry. Yep. Similarly, let me just copy this, and instead of this verify page title, paste it there, and let me make welcome Amazon, and the expected is also welcome Amazon, and the page title is not correct again. Okay, so let me make it home page title is not correct. Right after signing, we'll land to the home page. All right, and then this makes sense. Now if you run this statement, right, since actual and expected are equal, this expected and actual are equal, they all will be passed, there will be no error, right? But in case my page title is, say for example, it became 123, right, and your expected is still Amazon, so this statement will fail. But since you are using hard assert, these statements will not be performed. So just because your page title is not correct, you're not signing in and you're not signing out, you're not closing the Chrome, you're not even closing the Chrome, right? Since you launched it, you got an error, but you're not closing what you have started, right? So this is not a good practice. This is not a good way of doing it. So what, as I told you that in such case, what comes in mind is the soft assertion, right? So let me just create an object of soft assertion here, maybe 02. All right, so let's copy this, and instead of assert, let me just replace it, right? So now, and at the end, we are going to print this soft assertion, all right? So we are all set. Let me just make it 02. Okay, so even if this statement fail now, even if the page title is incorrect, all right, for one or the other reason, we are still going to verify the sign-in functionality, all right, and we are still going to verify the home page title, and then we are going to sign out, and then we are going to close. So this particular verification that was stopping earlier from executing rest of the functionality in our application is not stopped. I mean, for this reason, I mean, just because of this, we are not stopping the rest of the execution or rest of the test, rest of the feature from being tested, right? So now, I hope you understood my point. Let me just right click on it, and this test will fail because this is going to fail, right? We are failing this purposely just to see if these are working fine, right? So right click on it, run as TestNG. Okay, we have an error, and if you go to this report, the test was failed, maths was failed. I'm sorry, this is the first one as well, and the second one for Selenium, if you see here, Selenium was also failed, but the error that you see is we got only one error: page title is not correct, expected Amazon but found Amazon 123, right? So this was failed, but it did not throw any error for this and this, right? But how do you know whether these were executed or not? Is just because since we have sysout statement, so ideally they should have been printed. So if you come here on the top, if you see open Chrome, launch Amazon, sign in, sign out, close Chrome, so they were printed. That means it went to these lines as well, right? So now let's quickly check with a real example. I mean, real Selenium script, right? I hope you have understood Selenium. I hope you have understood soft assertion, right? There. I mean, it is the same. All the methods and everything are same. Everything. Okay, I forgot to explain you that. So if you see here, soft assertion. If you click here and control, I'm sorry, right after dot, right, soft assertion dot, if you see here, these are all the same methods that were available with the class assert, that is hard assert, right? Assert all, if you see here, assert equals byte, actual, expected, actual, expected, all the data set, all the data types, string, short, right, boolean, byte, character, double, everything is a not equals. As I told you that the way we have equals, similarly we have not equal set as well, and then we have same, and then we have assert true. We saw yesterday that, I'm sorry, yes, in the last video, assert true, assert false, right? So they're all there for soft assertion as well, right? So just the difference is the hard assert stops you. It's a hard stop, but a soft assertion is a soft stop. That means it will not stop you, but it will fail the test, right? It will not mark the test as pass unless you forget to mention this line. All right. So we're going to good on that part. All right. So let me just use the same Selenium script that we used in the last video. All right. So this is the same class. If you remember, assert02, we have the setup part in the before test and the tear down part, that is closing Chrome and getting closing everything that we initiated in the after test. But the actual test is being performed in the test method, that is test app. And what we are doing, we are just launching this particular site. Okay, this is the only site that I have used so far to explain you TestNG. I mean, this is the site which I have used everywhere for all the videos where we have seen the Selenium script. So, and if you see here, we are launching this site and then we are performing these actions. I mean, setting username and password, and then we are signing in, and then we are again finding the login button, clicking on that, and then we are saving the message. There is a message which is displayed, and we are verifying, we are getting the text, and then we are verifying whether that message contains this particular line or not, right? If this particular line contains then this line, then it will return true, which will be compared with true. And then if this is passed, then only it will go to the next line, right? Because we are using, remember, we are using hard assert here, right? So let me quickly no, All right, so since we are looking, we are going to perform the same action using, same validation using soft assertion. So instead of assert, we are going to change it to soft assert. All right, so let me just go to this and copy the same line, soft assert. Assert is equals to new assert, so make it here. All right, so copy this, and instead of assert, let me just change it. We have a assert statement down at the bottom as well, and we have replaced it right now. Okay, now if you see here, if this message, the message that we are validating right after login, if that message does not if it does not contain this line, or if it has any change in this message, then this will give me a false. The contents will give me a false as a boolean value, and that false and true will not match, and hence this will fail, right? But since we are using soft assertion, it will go and continue with signing operation. It will go and print this line, and then it will go to logout as well. It will search for the logout element, and it will perform the click, and then after clicking also, it is going to perform the check that we saw. Sorry, I have a bad throat. All right, so yeah, and after, for logout, I'm clicking on logout button, and right after that, I'm verifying that we get this message or not. All right, again with soft assertion, and just to confirm if the soft assertion is working, I have another sysout statement at the end, which will print this sysout was successful. All right, so let me just quickly run this and see what happens. I hope everything is correct because I haven't made any change to the statements. All right, so right click on this, run as TestNG test, and let's see what happens. And in case you don't, you're not following what I'm saying, so I highly recommend you to go and watch part number 14. That's a must for you to understand assertion, as well as this part number 15, that is a soft assertion. All right. So if you see here, my application was launched, and everything was performed, right? Sign in was successful, sign out was successful, close Chrome and test them, right? So we see a green. The reason is uh, there are two things. All right, forgot to mention that we don't have anything which will fail the statement. This is exactly the same message that is displayed right after login, and this is again the same message right after logout. So there is no point of error. So let me just make small change. Maybe I'll add two exclamation here and two exclamation here as well. All right, so now this particular statement will return false, which will be compared with true, and this will be a failed statement for us, right? This will be a failed assertion, but this should be printed because we are using soft assertion. And similarly, these all lines will be executed. Similarly, this will be executed as well. All right, and this time, even this particular check, that message logout contains this line or not, though it will contain, but since we have a two exclamation extra at the end, this will be a failed one, right? We are having two exclamation, but on the UI, on the application, it will only give you one exclamation. So this will again be a full failed statement, and this will be printed. All right, so that was printed. Actually, if you see here, everything was printed, but we are not sure whether this was printed because of soft assertion, because there was no error as such, right? Everything was correct, but now we are purposely uh, expecting a wrong, we are actually expecting a wrong value, right? So let's see what happens. But if you remember, I told you, when we are using soft assertion, you have to use this statement at the end, right? So let me just put it at the end, and let's see what happens. Okay, so right now let me just right click on it, run as TestNG test. Okay, driver was launched, Chrome was launched, URL was triggered, we are putting a username, password, login, and then Yogo. And if you see, the same set of action were performed. All right, sign in was successful, sign out, sign as was successful, close Chrome. But my test application was the test app method was failed. The reason is the following assert. There were two you know fail statement: expected true but false, expected true but false, right? So both of them were failed. That means both the assertions were failed. So it is doing what you're expecting. It is performing the test. It is telling you that it is not right, but it is not stopping you from performing the actions that you have written here, right? All the actions were executed successfully. So let me go to this here, go to report, and if you see, it is beautifully printed both the statement expected true and false and expected true and true but false, right? So this is all about soft assertion, and I'm just checking if I have missed anything to explain you. Just a minute. All right, so I guess I have covered everything. One last thing that I wanted to tell you is, let me just remove that soft assertion and put a hard state assertion there, right? So we have soft assertion right after hard assertion. So since this is going to fail, next statement and anything after that will not be executed. So let's quickly check that. Right click on this, run as TestNG test. So if you see here, only two only two console statement were printed. The reason was right after this, anything after this was not were not executed, and it was not executed, right? And here we have the errors. Okay, so soft assertion was not executed just because nothing was executed after line number 37. Okay, and yeah, that is it all about. But in case you are just wondering what is being happened here, what is being written in this statement, let me just reiterate. This is the setup part. We are launching Chrome, and then we are this, you can ignore this line, this is just for my machine. And then we are maximizing, and we are setting an implicit weight, and then we are launching this side, and then we are performing the same action, the set of test two assertions, and then right after that we are closing the Chrome. Okay, let me just quickly show you on the UI as well, in case you are as in what's been done. And this is the reason why I told you that you should start uh, learning the assertion from video number 14. All right, but okay, now on the login page, this is the username, password, login. Okay, now if you see here, this is the message that we are asserting, right? If you see here, I'm asserting whether this message that we are getting hold of from this particular element, and I'm validating whether you logged in to a secure area. Okay, and if you see here, I have added two exclamation, but this has only one exclamation, right? Similarly, so that's the reason why this should fail, because I have something wrong there. And if when I click on logout, you will still get another message, but again, this message has only one exclamation, but I'm expecting two exclamation, and that's the reason why this will also fail. All right, so yeah, I hope you have understood what is soft assertion and the difference between soft assertion and hard assertion. All right, let me just quickly tell you that from the last since I started automation, where I have used soft assertion. All right, so say for example, you have a user story. Let's consider this example itself. You have a user story, and now the user story says that the this thing, your message that we verified, they should have two extra exclamation on both the messages, right? But the development has just started, but you are done with your test, right? You have written all your test, right? Because this was working earlier, but now the change is there, but the development is yet to be done. So what you will do is, you are doing in sprint automation, so what you're going to do is, you're just going to make all the changes. But you know that if you use hard assert, right, if you use hard assert, this will be failed, and my rest of the statement will not be executed. So that means my rest of the test will not be will not be executed, and hence you wouldn't know if they are working fine as they were, right? So in that case, all you have to do is go and change the assert to soft assert. All right, so that is it. So whatever was working and they are intended to fail now, just because the changes are not ready yet, you go and make some changes in the assertion, change from hard assert to soft assert, and you should be good to go. All right, so see you in the next video, and thank you for staying for 29 minutes with me. I hope you have understood the difference between soft assertion and hard assertion. All right, so see you. Till next time, bye.